The stars were quiet around Earth's solar system when the alien ship arrived. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of the Starseeker, his 4 eyes scanning the data screens. The ship was huge, almost 3 miles long, and filled with the best scientists from across the galaxy. They had come to study this small blue planet that orbited a yellow star. "Commander, we are picking up strange readings," said Science Officer Velnai. Her tentacles moved quickly over the control panel. "The dominant species on this world appears to live alongside massive predators." Zethkar's skin changed from blue to a worried purple. In all his years exploring the galaxy, he had never heard of such a thing. Predators killed other creatures, they did not live peacefully with them. "Show me the images," he ordered. The main screen filled with pictures from their long-range cameras. Zethkar gasped and stepped backward. On the planet, below, large 4-legged beasts walked next to small 2-legged creatures. The small ones seemed to control the large ones somehow. Even worse, tiny versions of the small creatures played near the beasts without any fear. "By the ancient stars," whispered Dr. Tisela, the ship's lead biologist. "Those are Terran canids. Our records show they are Class 7 predators. They should be hunting those smaller creatures, not walking beside them." Far below on Earth, Dr. Alex Martinez finished his morning coffee aboard the Human Research Station. He worked as a marine biologist, studying ocean life from the safety of orbit. Alex liked the quiet work, watching whales and dolphins through the station's powerful cameras. He had no idea that alien eyes were watching him. Alex noticed something odd on his sensor screen. There were energy readings coming from the outer solar system, but they did not match any human technology. He frowned and ran the scan again. The readings were still there. "Lisa, you should see this," Alex called to Captain Lisa Thompson, who ran the defense monitoring station. Captain Thompson floated over in the zero gravity. She was a tall woman with short black hair and serious eyes. Her job was to watch for anything dangerous coming toward Earth. "What do you have, Alex?" "Unknown energy signature, about 2 million miles out. It's big, maybe 3 miles long. Definitely not one of ours." Lisa's face went pale. "Send the data to Earth Defense Command right away. And Alex, keep this quiet for now." On Earth's surface, Jake Sullivan had no idea that aliens were watching him. Jake owned a small ranch in Montana, where he raised horses and cattle. The morning, sun felt warm on his face as he walked toward the pasture. His border collie Ranger ran beside him, tongue hanging out with joy. "Come on, boy, let's check on the horses," Jake said, patting Ranger's head. The dog barked once and ran ahead. Jake smiled and followed. He had owned Ranger for 5 years, and the dog was like family to him. Ranger helped him move the cattle and watched over the ranch at night. Jake could not imagine life without his loyal friend. In the pasture, Jake's 12 horses grazed peacefully. These were big, powerful animals that weighed over 1,000 pounds each. But they were gentle with Jake, letting him pet their necks and check their hooves. His favorite was Thunder, a black stallion who nuzzled Jake's shoulder when he approached. "Good morning, big guy," Jake said, feeding Thunder an apple. High above, the alien observers watched in horror. Commander Zethkar could not believe what he was seeing. The small human creature was standing next to a massive beast that could easily crush him. But the beast seemed calm, even friendly. "Commander, our database shows those are equine quadrupeds," reported Science Officer Velnai. "They are the same species that forced the Krilloni to abandon their homeworld 300 years ago. The Krilloni called them thunder beasts because of their deadly hooves." "But look how docile they appear," said Dr. Tisela. "The human shows no fear at all." Zethkar ordered more scans. The results made his blood run cold. The planet was covered with these impossible relationships. Humans lived with creatures that had destroyed entire civilizations. Worse still, the humans seemed to enjoy it. The ship's computers identified dozens of species that appeared in their galactic threat database. There were feline hunters, known for wiping out the Zelthani colonies. There were bovine giants, which had trampled the crystal cities of Nexar Prime. There were even flying creatures called avians, which had driven the peaceful Quintel from their sky cities. "This is impossible," muttered Dr. Tisela. No species can coexist with so many apex predators. But the evidence was right in front of them. In a place called New York City, humans walked small versions of the deadly canids on rope leashes. The creatures that had once hunted in packs across the dead worlds now followed humans around like obedient servants. In a place called Texas, humans rode the thunder beasts across open fields. The same creatures that had killed thousands of Kreloni, warriors now carried human children on their backs. We must contact the Galactic Council immediately, Zethkar decided. This changes everything we know about predator species. Back on the research station, Alex Martinez was getting worried. The unknown object was still out there, and it seemed to be watching them. He ran every scan he could think of, but the results made no sense. The object was clearly artificial, but it used technology unlike anything humans had ever seen. "Lisa, I think we might have visitors," Alex said quietly. Captain Thompson nodded. She had reached the same conclusion. "I've already sent word to Earth. They're preparing first contact protocols just in case." The idea of meeting aliens excited Alex, but it also scared him. Humans had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they might have their answer. On his ranch, Jake Sullivan finished his morning chores. Ranger stayed close to his side, occasionally barking at something only the dog could hear. The border collie's ears were much better than human ears, and lately he seemed to be hearing something that made him nervous. "What is it, boy?" Jake asked, looking up at the empty sky. Ranger whined and pressed against Jake's leg. The dog was trying to tell him something, but Jake could not understand what. Aboard the Starseeker, Commander Zethkar made a decision that would change galactic history. He opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council on the capital world of Centauri Prime. "Council Leader Mordak, this is Commander Zethkar reporting from the Sol system. We have discovered something unprecedented." The holographic image of Council Leader Mordak appeared on the bridge. The ancient being's 6 arms gestured for Zethkar to continue. "The dominant species on the third planet has somehow domesticated multiple apex predator species. They live together in apparent harmony." Mordak's image flickered as he processed this information. "That is impossible, Commander. No species has ever successfully domesticated a Class 7 predator. I am sending you the visual evidence now, Council Leader." There was a long silence as Mordak reviewed the images. When he spoke again, his voice was filled with amazement and fear. "Commander Zethkar, you will maintain your position and continue. Observations. Do not make contact with the humans until we can determine if they represent a threat to galactic peace." The communication ended, leaving the alien crew alone with their shocking discovery. Below them, humans continued their daily lives, unaware that they had just become the most interesting and potentially dangerous species in the galaxy. Jake Sullivan finished feeding his horses and headed back to his house, Ranger trotting beside him. The border collie looked up at the sky one more time, his keen senses detecting something his human friend could not. Change was coming to Earth, and the loyal dog could feel it in the air. 3 weeks had passed since the Starseeker first arrived in Earth's solar system. The alien ship remained hidden behind the moon, its crew watching and learning about the strange humans below. Commander Zethkar had sent dozens of reports to the Galactic Council, each one more shocking than the last. The council chambers on Centauri Prime buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 50 different species gathered to discuss what they called the human problem. Council Leader Mordak stood at the center of the Great Hall, his 6 arms spread wide as he addressed the crowd. "Fellow beings," Mordak began, "we face an unprecedented situation. The humans of Earth have accomplished what no other species has done. They have turned our greatest enemies into willing servants." A wave of frightened whispers swept through the chamber. Ambassador Kretal of the Vorthan Empire raised one of her crystal arms. "Council Leader, perhaps we should destroy them before they spread this dangerous knowledge to other worlds." "No," said a calm voice from the back of the chamber. All eyes turned to Ambassador Thisala, a tall, graceful being with pale blue skin and large, kind eyes. She belonged to the Zelthani Confederation, a group of peaceful worlds that valued knowledge above all else. "The humans have not shown any aggressive behavior," Thisala continued. They seem to use these creatures for companionship and work, not warfare. We should learn from them, not fear them. Council Leader Mordak nodded slowly. Ambassador Thysila speaks wisdom. We will attempt contact, but we must be very careful. On Earth, President Amanda Foster sat in the White House Situation Room. The large table was surrounded by America's top officials, all trying to understand what the alien visitors wanted. Secretary of Defense Ryan Brooks tapped his fingers nervously on the table. Madam President, we have confirmed that the alien ship has been watching us for weeks, Brooks said. They have made no hostile moves, but we must assume they are studying our defenses. Dr. Patricia Davis, the Chief Science Advisor, shook her head. I think they are more interested in our animals than our weapons. All of their scans have focused on farms, ranches, and pet stores. President Foster frowned. Why would aliens care about our pets? That's what we need to find out, said Dr. Kevin Walsh, the government's top expert on language and communication. If they do contact us, I'll need to figure out how to talk to them. The answer came sooner than expected. The next morning, every radio telescope on Earth picked up the same signal. It was complex and mathematical, clearly artificial. Dr. Walsh and his team worked around the clock to decode it. The message was simple but earth-shaking. Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Galactic Federation. We wish to meet with your leaders to discuss your unique relationship with apex predators. We mean no harm, but we must understand how you have achieved the impossible. President Foster called an emergency meeting. Within hours, she decided to accept the alien invitation. The meeting would take place on Harmony Point, a small research station that orbited between Earth and the Moon. Captain Steve Miller commanded Harmony Point. He was a former Navy officer who had spent 10 years in space. Miller was calm under pressure, which made him perfect for humanity's first contact with aliens. He was chosen to lead the human delegation. Dr. Michelle Roberts was the second member of the team. She studied animal behavior and had written books about how humans and animals communicate. If the aliens wanted to understand human-animal relationships, she was the best person to explain them. The third member was Dr. Tony Garcia, who studied different human cultures around the world. He understood how people in different countries related to their animals in different ways. The team decided to bring 2 animals with them: Rex, a German Shepherd police dog, and Duchess, a small orange cat. Both animals were well-trained and calm around strangers. Ambassador Thysila arrived at Harmony Point in a small alien shuttle. She wore a special suit that covered her entire body, and she moved very carefully around the human delegation. Her large eyes were filled with curiosity and fear. Greetings, humans, Thysila said through a translation device. I am Ambassador Thysila of the Zelthani Confederation. I represent the Galactic Federation in this historic meeting. Captain Miller stepped forward. Welcome to Harmony Point, Ambassador. I am Captain Steve Miller, and these are my colleagues, Dr. Roberts and Dr. Garcia. Thysila's eyes immediately locked onto Rex and Duchess. The German Shepherd sat calmly beside Dr. Roberts, his tail wagging slowly. The cat had curled up in Dr. Garcia's lap and was purring loudly. Those creatures, Thysila whispered, they are Terran canids and feline hunters. Our records show they are extremely dangerous. Dr. Roberts smiled and patted Rex's head. This is Rex. He's a police dog. He helps human officers catch criminals and find missing people. You use apex predators for law enforcement? Thysila asked, her voice shaking. Rex isn't a predator anymore, Dr. Roberts explained. His ancestors were wolves, but humans have bred dogs for thousands of years. We've made them friendly and helpful. To demonstrate, Dr. Roberts gave Rex a simple command. Rex, sit. The large dog immediately sat down, his tail still wagging. Thysila jumped backward in fear. Stay, Dr. Roberts said, and Rex remained perfectly still. Good boy, Dr. Roberts said, giving Rex a treat. The dog's tail wagged faster, and he gently licked her hand. Thysila stared in amazement. The creature seems to enjoy obeying you. This contradicts everything we know about pack predator behavior, Dr. Garcia held up Duchess, who continued to purr. This is Duchess. She's a house cat. Many humans keep cats as companions. Feline hunters destroyed 3 of our colonies, Thesela said quietly. They are efficient killers with no natural predators. Duchess catches mice in my house, Dr. Garcia said. But mostly she just sleeps in sunny spots and wants to be petted. As if to prove his point, Duchess jumped from his arms and walked directly to Thesela. The alien ambassador froze in terror as the small cat rubbed against her leg, purring loudly. She likes you, Dr. Garcia said. Cats purr when they're happy. Thesela looked down at the small creature that was supposedly one of the galaxy's most feared predators. Duchess looked up at her with bright green eyes and meowed softly. I do not understand, Thesela said. How did you make them so docile? Doctor, Robert sat down to be closer to the alien's eye level. We didn't make them anything. We worked with them. Thousands of years ago, some wolves started living near human camps. They helped us hunt, and we shared our food with them. Over time, we became partners. But wolves are pack hunters, Thesela protested. They should have killed you and taken your territory. Some did, Dr. Roberts admitted. But others saw the benefits of working with us. We could provide regular food and safety. They could provide protection and help with hunting. Both species benefited. Captain Miller joined the conversation. Ambassador, we understand this seems impossible to you, but humans have always worked with animals. We've never seen them as just enemies, to be destroyed. Thesela was quiet for a long time watching Rex and Duchess. The dog had laid down and was resting his head on his paws. The cat had found a warm spot near a heating vent and was cleaning her fur. On my homeworld, Thesela finally said, creatures like these killed thousands of my people. We had to abandon our colonies and flee to the stars. I'm sorry that happened, Dr. Roberts said gently. But these aren't the same creatures that hurt your people. Rex and Duchess have been bred to live with humans peacefully. How do you train them not to kill? Thesela asked. Dr. Roberts smiled. We don't train them not to kill. We give them better things to do. Rex gets praise and treats for helping people. Duchess gets a warm home and regular meals. They don't need to hunt because all their needs are met. And they seem to enjoy this arrangement, Thesela observed. Very much, Dr. Garcia said. Many humans consider their pets to be family members. Thesela's translation device made a strange sound as she tried to process this concept. Family members? You treat apex predators as your own offspring? In a way, yes, Captain Miller said. They depend on us and we care for them. It's a relationship built on trust and mutual benefit. The meeting continued for several more hours. Thesela asked hundreds of questions about human-animal relationships. She learned about working dogs, house cats, farm animals, and even exotic pets. Each answer seemed to surprise her more than the last. As the meeting ended, Thesela made an unexpected request. Captain Miller, I would like to observe more of these relationships. May I visit your planet? Of course, Miller replied. We would be honored to show you how humans and animals live together. Thesela looked one more time at Rex and Duchess, who had spent the entire meeting behaving perfectly. Perhaps, she said quietly, we have much to learn from humanity. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Thesela first met the human delegation. The Galactic Federation had built a permanent research station in Earth's orbit, and scientists from dozens of worlds came to study the impossible relationship between humans and their animals. The station, called Unity Base, hummed with activity day and night. Dr. Nathan Clark walked through the main corridor of Unity Base, carrying a tablet full of research notes. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind, eyes chosen by Earth's government to lead the cultural exchange program. Nathan had spent his whole career studying how different cultures around the world treated their animals, but nothing had prepared him for explaining humanity to aliens. Good morning, Dr. Clark, said a mechanical voice behind him. Nathan turned to see Veltar, a robot-like being from the Karathi Union. Veltar's metal body clicked and whirred as he moved, but his artificial mind was one of the sharpest in the galaxy. Morning, Veltar, Nathan replied. Ready for today's field trip? I am eager to observe the canine herding behavior you described, Veltar said. My calculations suggest it should be impossible for predators to protect prey animals. Walking. Beside them was Quinneth, a small furry creature with 6 legs and large purple eyes. She was a behavioral analyst who studied how different species communicated. Quinneth had been fascinated by human-animal relationships since the first reports reached her homeworld. Dr. Clark, Quinneth said in her high musical voice, will we see the Thunderbeasts today as well? Nathan smiled. The aliens still used their old names for Earth's animals, even though humans had told them the real names many times. Yes, we'll visit Ben Turner's ranch. You'll see horses, cattle, and working dogs all in one place. The team took a shuttle down to Colorado, where Ben Turner owned a large ranch in the mountains. Ben was a 4th-generation rancher, a man who understood animals better than most people understood other humans. He had agreed to help with the alien research because he thought it was important for them to understand how humans and animals work together. Ben met them at the landing pad, wearing his usual jeans and cowboy hat. Beside him sat Rusty and Belle, 2 border collies with intelligent eyes and alert ears. The dogs watched the approaching aliens with curiosity but no fear. Welcome to my ranch, Ben said, shaking hands with Nathan. He nodded politely to the aliens. These are my working dogs, Rusty and Belle. They help me manage the sheep. Veltar's mechanical head swiveled as he scanned the dogs. My sensors indicate these are indeed canid predators, genetically similar to pack hunters, yet they show no aggressive behavior toward the prey species. That's because they're not hunting the sheep, Ben explained. They're protecting them and keeping them together. Let me show you. Ben led the group to a large pasture where about 200 sheep grazed peacefully. The white fluffy animals looked harmless, but Nathan knew the aliens saw them differently. In their records, sheep were related to creatures called wool beasts that had trampled alien cities with their sharp hooves. Rusty, go gather them up, Ben called to one of his dogs. The border collie immediately ran toward the flock of sheep, but instead of attacking them, Rusty began running in wide circles around the animals. His presence made the sheep nervous, and they started moving closer together. Watch how he uses his eyes, Ben said, pointing to Rusty. He stares at the sheep to make them move, but he never touches them. Quinneth's large eyes grew even wider as she watched. The predator is using hunting instincts to control the prey, but not to kill them. This is remarkable. Rusty continued, circling the sheep, guiding them toward a gate that led to another pasture. Belle joined him, working on the other side of the flock. The 2 dogs moved the entire group of sheep without any help from Ben. How did you teach them to do this? Veltar asked. I didn't teach them much, Ben replied. Border collies were bred for this work. Their instincts tell them to control sheep, not kill them. I just had to show them where I wanted the sheep to go. Dr. Karen Lewis joined the group as they watched. The dogs' work. She was a veterinarian who had spent years studying animal behavior. Karen had volunteered to help explain the medical side of human-animal relationships to the aliens. The key thing to understand, Karen told the aliens, is that we've changed these animals over thousands of years. Rusty and Belle still have hunting instincts, but those instincts have been modified to serve a different purpose. But how? Quinneth asked. How do you modify instincts? Selective breeding, Karen explained. For hundreds of generations, humans chose the wolves that were best at working with people. We bred those wolves together, and their puppies were even better at cooperation. Over time, we created dogs that want to help humans more than they want to hunt. The group moved to another part of the ranch where Ben kept his horses. There were 12 of them, large, powerful animals that grazed in a fenced pasture. Veltar's sensors immediately identified them as thunderbeasts, the creatures that had forced his people to abandon their homeworld centuries ago. Those animals killed thousands of Karathi colonists, Veltar said, his mechanical voice showing unusual emotion. They were unstoppable in their rage. Ben walked right up to the fence and called to his favorite horse, a brown mare named Daisy. The horse lifted her head and walked over to him, gently nuzzling his shoulder with her nose. Daisy here wouldn't hurt a fly, Ben said, patting the horse's neck. She's gentle as a lamb, but she is massive, Quinneth observed. One kick from those hooves could kill a human. She could, Ben agreed. But she won't. Daisy trusts me and I trust her. We've worked together for 8 years. To demonstrate, Ben opened the gate and walked into the pasture. All 12 horses gathered around him, some nudging him with their noses, others simply standing peacefully nearby. Ben scratched their necks and spoke to them in a soft voice. The wild horses that attacked your people were afraid and angry, Dr. Lewis explained. To Veltar, they saw your colonists as threats, but domestic horses like these have been bred to be calm and trusting. They actually seem to enjoy human company, Quinneth noted. They do, Ben said, leading Daisy out of the pasture. Horses are social animals. In the wild, they live in herds. When we domesticate them, we become part of their herd. Ben put a saddle on Daisy and climbed onto her back. The large animal stood perfectly still, waiting for his commands. When Ben gently pressed his heels against her sides, Daisy began walking around the pasture. You are sitting on a creature that could easily throw you off and trample you, Veltar observed. Yet you show no fear. Daisy's never given me reason to be afraid, Ben replied. She knows I'll take care of her, so she takes care of me. The most amazing part came when Ben's 8-year-old granddaughter Emma arrived from school. The little girl ran straight to the horse pasture, and all the large animals came to greet her. Emma climbed on the fence and petted their noses, giggling when they snuffled her hair. A juvenile human, completely vulnerable, surrounded by thunder, beasts, Quinneth whispered. On any other world, this would be a massacre. But look how gentle they are with her, Dr. Lewis pointed out. They know she's small and fragile, so they're extra careful. Emma's favorite horse was a small pony named Buttons. Despite being called small, Buttons was still much larger than the little girl. But when Emma climbed onto Buttons' back, the pony stood perfectly still and walked very slowly, making sure not to jostle his young rider. The thunder beast is protecting the human child, Veltar said, his voice full of wonder. This contradicts all our data about these creatures. That's because your data is about wild horses, Nathan explained. These are domestic horses. They've been our partners for thousands of years. The day continued with visits to other parts of the ranch. The aliens saw cattle that followed Ben around like giant dogs. They watched chickens that came running when he called them. They observed barn cats that hunted mice but purred when petted by humans. Each observation challenged everything the aliens thought they knew about these creatures. In their records, cattle were trampling monsters. Chickens were vicious pack hunters. Cats were silent killers that could wipe out entire colonies. But on Ben's ranch, all these dangerous creatures lived peacefully with humans and each other. The cattle provided milk and eventually meat. The chickens laid eggs. The cats controlled rodents. The horses provided transportation and helped with work. The dogs protected everything and everyone. I think I am beginning to understand, Quinneth said as the day ended. Humans do not simply dominate these creatures. You have created a partnership where everyone benefits. That's exactly right, Nathan said. We give them food, shelter, and medical care. They give us companionship, work, and products we need. But the most important thing, Ben added, is that we respect each other. I never forget that my animals are living beings with their own needs and feelings. As the aliens returned to their shuttle, Veltar made a surprising observation. Dr. Clark, I believe humans may have discovered something that no other species has achieved. You have turned competition into cooperation. Maybe that's what makes us different, Nathan replied. We don't see other species as enemies to be destroyed. We see them as potential friends and partners. The research on Unity Base had been going on for almost a year when Galactic historian Murdak arrived from the archive worlds. He was an ancient being, older than most civilizations, with a memory that stretched back thousands of years. Murdak had spent centuries collecting stories and records from across the galaxy, and he knew more about the dangerous creatures than anyone alive. Dr. Helen Young met Murdak at the shuttle bay. She was Earth's leading expert on ancient life, a paleontologist who had spent her career digging up fossils and studying how life evolved on Earth. Helen was excited to work with someone who had actual records of these creatures from other worlds. "Welcome to Unity Base, Historian Mirdak," Helen said, extending her hand in the human greeting. Mirdak looked at her hand with his 3 eyes, unsure what to do. His species did not touch each other casually. "Thank you, Dr. Young. I have brought the complete archives of creature encounters from across the galaxy." Together they walked to the research lab where Dr. Carl Jackson was waiting. Carl studied genetics, the science of how traits passed from parents to children in all living things. He had been working to understand how humans had changed their animals over thousands of years. "Dr. Jackson," Helen said, "this is historian Mirdak. He has records going back 5,000 years about the creatures we call pets and livestock." Carl looked up from his computer screen, where he had been comparing DNA samples from modern dogs and ancient wolves. "Perfect timing. I just finished my analysis of canine evolution. The results are remarkable." Mirdak activated a holographic projector that filled the room with images and data. "Let me show you why these creatures terrified the galaxy," he said. The first image showed a pack of wolf-like creatures attacking a city on the planet Vextar. The wolves were larger than Earth wolves, with longer teeth and more powerful muscles. They moved with deadly coordination, bringing down the tall Vextarian defenders one by one. These dire wolves wiped out 3 colonies before the Vextarians abandoned their homeworld, Mirdak explained. No weapon could stop them. They were too fast, too smart, and too vicious. Carl studied the hologram carefully. They looked similar to Earth wolves, but bigger and more aggressive. What happened to the Vextarians? They became a nomadic species living on space stations and ships. They never found another world they could safely colonize, Mirdak said sadly. Helen pulled up her own research on her computer. "But Carl, look at this DNA comparison. Modern dogs share 99% of their genes with wolves. The difference is tiny, but it changes everything about their behavior." Carl nodded. "That tiny difference is the result of 15,000 years of selective breeding. Humans kept the wolves that were friendliest and most cooperative. Over hundreds of generations, those traits became stronger and stronger. But how did the first humans survive long enough to begin this process?" Mirdak asked. "The dire wolves should have killed them all." Dr. Sandra Kim entered the lab at that moment, carrying a small gray cat in her arms. Sandra studied cat behavior and had written several books about how cats and humans lived together. Her cat, Professor Whiskers, was famous around Unity Base for being completely calm around aliens. "Maybe I can help answer that," Sandra said, setting Professor Whiskers on the table. "I've been studying the relationship between humans and cats for 20 years. Mirdak immediately backed away from the cat. "Feline hunter," he whispered. "They destroyed the Filari system. Millions died." Professor Whiskers looked at Mirdak with curious green eyes, then began cleaning his paw with his pink tongue. The cat seemed completely uninterested in being a galactic terror. "The cats that attacked the Filari were probably feral," Sandra explained. "Wild cats that had no contact with humans. But cats have been living with humans for 9,000 years. We didn't domesticate them the same way we domesticated dogs." "What do you mean?" Helen asked. "Cats domesticated themselves," Sandra said, gently petting Professor Whiskers. "When humans started farming, our grain stores attracted mice and rats. Wildcats came to hunt the rodents. The cats that were less afraid of humans had access to more food, so they had more kittens. Over time, cats became more and more comfortable around people. So the cats chose to live with humans?" Mirdak asked, fascinated despite his fear. "In a way, yes. It was beneficial for both species. Cats got reliable food sources, and humans got pest control. Professor Whiskers here catches mice in my laboratory, but he also sits on my lap when I work and makes a sound called purring when he's happy." As if to demonstrate, Professor Whiskers jumped into Sandra's lap and began purring loudly, a deep rumbling sound that filled the room. "The creature sounds like it is malfunctioning," Mirdak said. Sandra laughed. "He's not broken. Purring is how cats show their content. It's actually a sign of trust and affection." Dr. Peter Morgan arrived carrying a tablet full of agricultural data. Peter studied farming history and knew everything about how humans had developed agriculture over thousands of years. He had been analyzing how domestic animals fit into human food production. "Sorry I'm late," Peter said. "I was reviewing data from cattle ranches around the world. The numbers are incredible." Peter activated his own holographic display, showing images of modern cattle peacefully grazing in fields. These animals provide milk, meat, and leather for billions of humans. But Murdak, your records show similar creatures causing massive destruction on other worlds. "The bovine giants of Nexar Prime," Murdak confirmed. "They trampled the crystal cities and destroyed the food forests. The Nexarians still live in underground tunnels, afraid to return to the surface. But look at this," Peter said, changing the image to show a young human child bottle-feeding a baby calf. "This is how humans raise cattle. We care for them from birth, provide them with food and medical care, and protect them from predators." "The human child is feeding a bovine giant?" Murdak asked in amazement. "That giant is only 3 days old," Peter explained. "Her mother died during birth, so the farmers are raising her by hand. When she grows up, she'll be gentle and trusting around humans." Dr. Ashley Turner joined the group, carrying research files about marine animals. Ashley studied ocean life and had been documenting how humans interacted with sea creatures. Her work was some of the most shocking to the aliens, since many of them came from ocean worlds. "Wait until you hear about what humans do with water predators," Ashley said with a grin. "We have people who swim with sharks." Murdak's 3 eyes widened in horror. "Aquatic death dealers? No one survives contact with those creatures." "We call them sharks, and you're right that they can be dangerous," Ashley said. "But humans have learned to understand their behavior. Some people study sharks to help protect them from extinction." Ashley showed them video footage of marine biologists swimming peacefully next to large sharks. The humans wore special cages for protection, but they moved calmly through the water while the sharks swam around them. "These humans are researching shark behavior to help both species," Ashley explained. "They've learned that most shark attacks happen because the sharks mistake humans for their natural prey. By understanding sharks better, we can avoid dangerous encounters and protect these important predators." "You protect the predators?" Murdak asked. "Many of them are endangered," Ashley said. "Humans have realized that every species plays an important role in the ecosystem. Even predators serve a purpose in maintaining balance." The most shocking revelation came when Dr. Lisa Wang arrived with footage from wildlife rehabilitation centers. Lisa worked with injured wild animals, helping them recover and return to nature. "This might be the most important thing for you to understand," Lisa said to Murdak. "Humans don't just domesticate animals. We also protect and care for wild ones." The video showed humans caring for injured wolves, feeding orphaned bear cubs, and treating wounded eagles. In every case, the humans worked carefully to help the animals without making them dependent on human care. "We have people who dedicate their lives to protecting animals that could kill them," Lisa explained. "They do it because they believe every creature deserves to live." "Even dangerous ones?" Murdak asked. "Especially dangerous ones," Lisa replied. "We've learned that the most dangerous animals are often the most important for healthy ecosystems." Murdak spent hours reviewing all the human research. The evidence was overwhelming. Humans had not only tamed the galaxy's most feared creatures, they had turned them into partners, companions, and even family members. "Dr. Young," Murdak said finally, "I believe I understand now. Humans do not see other species as enemies to be conquered. You see them as individuals with their own value and rights." "That's exactly right," Helen replied. "We've learned that cooperation works better than domination." "But how did you learn this?" Murdak asked. "Most species see predators and immediately think of danger and death." Carl looked up from his genetic data. "Maybe it's because humans are predators too. We understand the need to hunt and survive, but we also understand the benefits of working together." "You think being predators yourselves helped you understand other predators?" Sandra asked. "It's possible," Carl said. "We know what it's like to be hungry, territorial, and protective, but we also know what it's like to form alliances and care for our young." 1 year had passed since the first alien ship arrived at Earth. The massive council chambers on the Galactic Federation station, Unity's Edge, were filled with representatives from every known species. Fleet Admiral Corthus stood at the center of the Great Hall, his golden scales shimmering under the bright lights. The decision they made today would change the future of the galaxy. "Fellow beings," Admiral Corthus announced, "we gather to decide humanity's place in our galactic community. Never before has a species shown such unusual abilities with apex predators." In the human section of the chamber, Ambassador Gregory Palmer sat calmly with his service dog Buddy beside his wheelchair. Gregory had lost his legs in an accident years ago, but Buddy helped him navigate the world. The golden retriever wore a special vest that identified him as a working animal, and he had been specially trained to assist Gregory with daily tasks. "May I address the council?" Gregory asked, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's speakers. Admiral Corthus nodded. "The human ambassador has permission to speak." Gregory rolled his wheelchair to the center of the chamber, Buddy walking steadily beside him. Many of the alien representatives shifted nervously as the large dog entered their midst. "Honored beings," Gregory began, "I know many of you fear what you see as dangerous creatures, but I want you to meet my friend Buddy." The golden retriever sat calmly beside Gregory's wheelchair, his tail wagging slowly. His brown eyes looked around the chamber with curiosity but no aggression. "Buddy is not just my pet," Gregory explained. "He is my partner. When I drop something, he picks it up for me. When I need help getting dressed, he brings me my clothes. When I'm sad or worried, he stays close to comfort me." To demonstrate, Gregory deliberately dropped his pen on the floor. Buddy immediately picked it up and placed it gently in Gregory's hand. "This creature that your records call a Terran canid has made my life better in ways I cannot count," Gregory said. "Without Buddy, I would struggle with tasks that seem simple to others. With him, I can live independently and contribute to my society." Dr. Rachel Turner stood up in the human section. She had spent the entire year working with alien scientists, and her research had become the foundation for understanding human-animal relationships. "Admiral Corthus, may I present our proposal?" Rachel asked. "You may proceed, Dr. Turner." Rachel activated a holographic display that showed images from across Earth. "We propose the creation of a new branch of galactic science, interspecies cooperation studies. Our research has shown that the techniques humans use could help other species manage their own predator problems." The first image showed the abandoned world of Vextar, where empty cities crumbled under alien suns. The Vextarians fled their homeworld because of dire wolf attacks. But our studies suggest those wolves were actually intelligent pack hunters, looking for territory and food. "You think we could have negotiated with them?" asked Counselor Vextine, one of the few surviving Vextarians. "Perhaps," Rachel replied. "Humans learned to work with wolves by offering them food and shelter in exchange for protection and companionship. It took thousands of years, but both species benefited." Counselor Vashiti of the Vorthon Empire stood up, her crystal body reflecting the chamber lights. "Dr. Turner, your species has achieved something remarkable, but many of us fear that humans might use these abilities against other sapient species." General Lucas Hayes rose from his seat in the human delegation. He was a career military officer, but he had spent the last year studying peaceful cooperation instead of warfare. "Counselor Vashiti," Lucas said, "I understand your concerns. But look at Earth's history. We have dozens of different human cultures and nations, yet we choose to work together instead of fighting. We apply the same principles to our relationships with animals and with other species." "Can you prove this?" Vashiti challenged. Lucas gestured to the mixed group of humans in the chamber. "Our delegation includes people from 6 different countries, 3 different religions, and 4 different races. We disagree about many things, but we work together because we share common goals." Dr. Martha Collins stepped forward. She had been leading the Joint Human-Alien Research Program and had worked closely with scientists from a dozen different worlds. "Admiral Corthus," Martha said, "we have developed training programs that could help other species reclaim their abandoned worlds. The The Zephyrian colonies, for example, are having problems with crystal drakes. Our animal behavior specialists believe these creatures could be managed safely. Ambassador Thisla spoke from the Zelthani section. Dr. Collins, the crystal drakes killed thousands of Zephyrian colonists. How could humans possibly help with such dangerous creatures? By understanding what the drakes really want, Martha replied. Our preliminary studies suggest they attack settlements because humans disturb their nesting sites. If we could establish protected areas for the drakes and teach colonists how to avoid conflicts, both species might coexist peacefully. The debate continued for hours. Some species supported humanity's admission to the Galactic Federation, while others remained fearful. The Kryloni were particularly worried, since their ancestors had fled from creatures similar to Earth's horses. Counselor Kraleth of the Kryloni spoke with a shaking voice. The thunder beasts destroyed our civilization. My people still have nightmares about their trampling hooves. How can you ask us to trust the species that lives with these monsters? Ambassador Palmer rolled his wheelchair closer to the Kryloni section. Counselor Kraleth, I understand your fear, but the horses that attacked your people were wild and afraid. They saw your colonists as invaders in their territory. Gregory gestured to a holographic display showing children riding ponies at a summer camp on Earth. These are the same species, but they have been bred for gentleness and trained to trust humans. The children you see are completely safe. But how do we know humans won't use these creatures as weapons? Kraleth asked. Dr. Patricia Wells, an expert in animal training, stood up. Counselor, that would be impossible. Domestic animals are bred to be cooperative and peaceful. They would make terrible weapons because they lack the aggression of their wild ancestors. More importantly, Gregory added, using our animal partners as weapons would violate everything we believe in. These creatures trust us completely. Betraying that trust would make us monsters. The final speaker was Commander Blake Thompson of Earth's newly formed Galactic Relations Office. Blake had been chosen to lead humanity's first interstellar missions, and he represented the future of human expansion into space. Honored beings, Blake said, humans do not seek to dominate the galaxy. We seek to explore it, learn from it, and contribute to it. Our partnerships with Earth's animals have taught us that cooperation works better than conflict. What can humans offer the Galactic Federation? Admiral Corthus asked. We can teach other species how to reclaim their lost worlds, Blake replied. We can help establish peaceful relationships between sapient beings and the creatures they fear. We can show that predators and prey, hunters and hunted, can live together in harmony. Blake activated a new holographic display showing Earth's diverse ecosystem. On our world, humans live alongside thousands of different species. We have cities where pigeons nest on buildings, parks where squirrels play near children, and farms where dozens of different animals work together. You're proposing to export this model to other worlds? Asked Thisla. We're proposing to share what we've learned, Blake corrected. Each world and each species would need to find their own path to cooperation. The vote took place immediately after the presentations ended. Representatives from 57 species cast their ballots electronically, with the results displayed on the main screen. The chamber fell silent as Admiral Corthus read the results. By a vote of 43 to 14, the Galactic Federation welcomes humanity as a full member species. Cheers erupted from the human section, while many alien representatives applauded with their various appendages. Even some who had voted against the proposal seemed relieved that the decision had been made. Furthermore, Admiral Corthus continued, the Federation approves the establishment of Earth as the Center for Interspecies Cooperation Studies. 6 months later, Commander Blake Thompson stood on the bridge of the starship, New Frontier, as it approached the Zephyrian colony world of Haven Prime. Behind him, a team of animal behaviorists prepared for humanity's first interstellar mission. Dr. Amy Chen checked her equipment one more time. She was a specialist in reptilian behavior, chosen specifically for the Crystal Drake mission. Blake, the colonists are reporting fewer attacks since we sent our preliminary guidelines. That's encouraging, Blake replied. What about the protected nesting areas? The colonists have established 3 preserve zones according to our recommendations. Amy said. Early reports suggest the Drakes are staying within their territories. In the ship's cargo bay, a team of specially trained border collies rested in climate-controlled kennels. These dogs had been selected for their intelligence and trained to work in alien environments. If the mission succeeded, they might become the first Earth animals to work on another world. Dr. Kevin Park, the mission's xenobiologist, joined Blake on the bridge. "Commander, we're receiving a message from the colony." "Administrator,"